Okay, welcome back. So a topic that a lot of people are very interested in understanding is how do the cyber criminals make money? How do they spend the money? What's that like on the other side?
How do cyber criminals profit?
Yep.
Right? Let's back up for a second, all right, and define kind of a dynamic of the way cybercrime operates. There are three necessities to successfully committing online crime. Those three necessities are gathering data, committing crime, cashing out. All three necessities have to work in conjunction. If they don't, the crime fails. Now the problem is that a single criminal, one guy, can't do all three things. He can do one, sometimes two, rarely three, but so he has to rely on other individuals to fill that gap for him. That's why you have the dark web marketplaces, the forums, Telegram, Discord, things like that. They allow that specific criminal to network with other criminals who are good where he or she is not, all right? Now, that being said, when I talk about gathering data, that's the PII, the bank account logins, it's also whatever tools are needed, maybe a spoof phone call, Mimikatz, whatever you need to help commit the crime. Then you commit the crime, then finally cashing out. Now, as you know, the big one is cashing out.
It's an important part of the whole process.
If you can't put cash in pocket at the end of the day, you're useless, right? I mean, it's easy enough, and truly, it is easy enough to commit business email compromise, to trick some company's payroll department to send a couple $1 million out to a bank account. But that doesn't mean a criminal has stolen a couple $1 million. He has to be able to convert that deposit into cash in pocket, and that becomes extremely difficult.
Yep.
All right, so you figure, take stimulus fraud, for example. Stimulus fraud is a prime example of these three necessities. A lot of the people who were committing unemployment fraud were not stateside. They were in the Ukraine, Brazil, the EU, something like that. Well, they knew how to commit the crime. They had access to the data to commit the crime. But if you're withdrawing unemployment funds from an ATM in the Ukraine,
it's suspicious.
it might raise a flag.
Yeah, I can see that.
So you had to have money mules stateside to do that for you. That's typically the way these things operate. The three necessities are either because of a skill gap, a criminal doesn't know how to do it, or it's a geographic problem. You're in an area where they can't do that. So how do you convert stolen funds into actual
spendable
cash
money
that you can
yeah.
use? I mean, it's difficult. I mean, people who've watched Ozark, good show, we know that, well, you can gamble it. You can have cash-based businesses. You can do things like that. You can invest in crypto, right?
I guess.
You can buy NFTs. And resell NFTs. There's a huge problem right now with some money laundering on the crypto side. That's one of the reasons that the federal government's looking at regulation all of a sudden, is trying to clean up a lot of that problem area. But as we know, the US dollar is the place for money laundering.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, how do you clean funds? It's cash-based businesses. It's transferring the money so many times that it hopefully finally looks legitimate. It's having bounce accounts into finally the primary cash out account. It's all these different techniques that are used, and that's why we have an entire anti-money laundering industry out there that looks at how criminals do these types of things.
And so what was a technique you used when you were doing this?
When I was doing this in Charleston, South Carolina, I had a couple of food trucks, I had a detailing company, and I had a commercial film company. I would shoot commercials for people, and actually I wouldn't shoot them for anybody.
I want to see some of those commercials.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't shoot anything. I would just say it was there, and then we're making this much money, and then go like that. But that being said, as you pointed out, I didn't really file taxes for years in my name. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, there you go. There's the intel from the other side. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.